What's going on, everyone? This is Mitch from RespectMyRegion.com, back with another episode of the North American Weed Tour podcast. We are looking at the best in legal cannabis across the map. Today, I'm joined by special guest Jason Vegotsky of Petalfast. How are you doing today, Jason?
I'm doing great, man. Just in Chicago today, and happy to join you.
Out in the shy. I guess I didn't give you the proper title. Say co-founder, CEO, man. Make sure I represent you properly, Jason.
Teammate, man. I'm just a teammate at Petalfast, and
yeah.
It's all good.
We'll pay respect, right? The PR team, they're gonna want you to be listed, right? I know the drill, man. But I also know the drill as being a founder and towards the top of the food chain also means in the startup world you got to do a little bit of everything, man. It's not that glorious at times.
Yeah, no, it's this is my fourth company, and every time I realize that when you start something from scratch, you got to do a little bit of everything, and that's what our whole team is, really. I mean, we got a lot of people who are comfortable wearing any hat, and that's what made us successful thus far.
That's what you need to do, especially while you're lean. So I kick off every episode with the guest around my question around my guest origin story with the plant being cannabis. So whether that's personal, professional, whatever you feel comfortable in sharing, I'm kind of curious your journey with cannabis. When did that relationship or that journey start?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, man. I on the East Coast, so I grew up in Philadelphia, and my whole life growing up was around basketball. I played college basketball at Bucknell. I got piss tested 10 times a year. So like in college, you really couldn't mess around back then. It's not like it is today. So I didn't really have a relationship growing up with cannabis, other than my boys, and seeing all that. But on the East Coast, it's certainly different than the West Coast. But for me, I grew up around wine and liquor distribution pretty much my whole life. My dad was a salesperson at one liquor company in New Jersey for 44 years. So building brands, distribution, all on-premise, off-premise, all the things that comes with getting brands in the market, and really allowing a consumer to touch them is what I grew up around. And it wasn't until, after I worked there after school for a little bit, I worked in the wine and liquor space. I then built a natural food brand, which we were lucky enough to sell. That sounds great, but I fucked it up every which way you could possibly mess up a brand. And so I learned the hard way, and I've been a brand owner and a brand operator in the natural food space. Then I got into cannabis, and I went out to Colorado, and I wanted to get into the space because I love a white space. I love to be able to build. I love the business development. And I said, you know what, this market from strictly a business perspective is a gold mine, from not necessarily from a dollars and cents standpoint, from the fact that nothing is built and there's going to have to be a lot of things built in order for this industry to be successful. So I want to get into it, and I spent 6 months in Colorado, and I decided to buy a contract for butane gas out of bankruptcy. And my first cannabis venture was building a national distribution network, and we sold butane, propane, isobutane to all the labs in the country. And this is 6-7 years ago, when vape was just really taking off, edibles was booming, manufacturing was booming, the solventless revolution hasn't really started yet, so butane was really it, right? And when I got in this space, I said, I don't know shit about this space, and I don't know anything about this plant. And I learned crash courses as fast as I can. And the thing that for me, I rarely drink anymore. And cannabis is the one thing that can take everything off of my mind and let me relax, because I'm somebody that doesn't stop. I'm somebody that thinking about the next thing. I'm somebody that wants to win and really won't take time to myself outside of work or my kids unless I'm forced to. And cannabis is something for me where my mind's off of everything and I can just relax. So I've really grown into a daily user, mostly at night, and something that has changed my life in a positive way. We all have kind of the family member story who has been sick, and I've seen that and seen the benefits of that. But ultimately for me, like for the first time in my life, I have something that allows me to relax. And for anybody knows me well, like me relaxing is a good thing. And it's been fun, man. In 7 years, I feel like I've really learned everything about the space from a business perspective. And I'm continue to learn from folks like you, who's been in this way longer than me on the West Coast, about the plan and about the different ways to consume.
I appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing. I love doing this, just help break the stigma and share these stories of why we all got into cannabis, and that's the root of what we're all doing here, whether it's media, ancillary, or actually handling the plants. That's the reason we're here. But your background's unique, right? That you worked in or where you worked in or had that experience, right, with the alcohol industry, and then also natural foods, and so there's two different things I feel like that draw a lot of parallels to cannabis. Some people love making parallels. Some people like fucking hate any parallel to specific parallels, whatever. I think they're all important, and I think game could be learned. Some of the best game I've learned from my business has been from like real estate guys, even though what I specifically do has absolutely nothing to do with real estate. There's just certain components, principles, mindset, and just understanding how business works that transfers over. What are some of those things in your previous life outside of cannabis that you feel like really equipped you specifically for this space?
Well, actually, I think the natural food and building the brand, we built a beef jerky brand, and did a crazy story. I was in a Wegmans food store on the East Coast, and some guy comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, do you bring this beef jerky in the Wegmans?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about? I'm just like buying a bottle of whiskey right now. No, I'm good." But I'm like, "Hey, I'm in the wine and spirit space. Maybe I can help you get in some beer shops. Like there's jerky in beer shops." And I ended up sitting down with this guy for lunch. And it turns out he went to Duke undergrad. He went to UCLA Law School, and he left everything to start a beef jerky company. I'm like, this guy is so fucked up. Like, I am totally in for working with this guy. And the brand was called Lawless Jerky because law made him less happy. And it was a 5-year run, and I learned so much from it. But the alcohol beverage model of distribution that I grew up around does not overlay cannabis perfectly. Well, you go talk to somebody from Diageo, go talk to somebody from Southern Wine and Spirits, and they'll come in and be like, "Oh, we're just going to crush this space because we've been in distribution forever, right? We know how to build brands." Like, cool. Why don't you come in, and how many big time alcohol beverage executives have we seen come into cannabis and fall flat on their face because they act like they know everything, right? So I think understanding how to manage salespeople, understanding how to build relationships, and understanding for us at Petalfast how to sell a portfolio or things that we took from alcohol beverage, right? What we do is we sell 20 brands or so, and we got to build a lot of them, right? And how to push and how to pull and how to prioritize all of them without prioritizing all of them at once is like a special skill. And I think we've taken that from alcohol beverage. But on the food side, our business model is modeled after companies like Acosta Sales and Marketing, Advantage Sales and Marketing, CA Fortune, and how to work with chains like a Whole Foods and a Kroger was something that is really important that overlays very well with like a MedMen or an MSO. But ultimately, how do you get your brand onto the shelf? And then being on the brand side, when I was building the beef jerky, I made all the mistakes that I'm seeing brands make right now. Like, just because you have a bag on the shelf doesn't mean you're a brand. That's a product. And there's so many people that come to us and they're like, "Hey, I want to take this brand across the country." And I'm like, "Well, how are you connecting with consumers?" And they can't even answer that question, right? Brand building is building a relationship with consumers one way or another and making them feel a certain way when they consume that product. As a distributor or a sales organization, our job is to put you in position to meet that consumer, right? You got to be on the shelf in the right spot at the right time, because when Joey Brado walks in the door, right, we got to smack him right in the face with this new brand, right? And it's got to grab his attention. So our team really takes pride in making sure that we get the right products in the right place at the right time to meet that consumer. And then the difference between the good brands and the brands that are not as successful is how do you take that and connect with that consumer? I see Burner in the background on your post right there. It's like Cookies connects with the consumer, right? In a very good way. So I think The alcohol beverage space doesn't overlay perfectly. The natural food space doesn't overlay perfectly. But we've taken bits and pieces from both models and we've turned it into our own model, and it's been doing pretty well in cannabis.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, building a brand, right, is going to be building a brand, whether you're selling toothpaste, whether you're selling sneakers. Obviously, certain things touch elements of culture or, different demographics of people that have a higher maybe engagement rate with brands and the culture around brands, right? But at the end of the day, you can learn things from these different different industries and different experiences. They all kind of can pave a little bit of the road going into another space. And then one of the things that's unique about Petalfast, right, from what I've been following you guys, is right, a lot of people focus on distribution, a lot of people focus on sales, but there's not a lot of people that kind of bend both those worlds along with marketing. And the key word that I see in a lot of your guys' material is like accelerator. Kind of, I think even on your website, you guys categorize it into like, for people that are going there to look for information, it's like, are you an existing brand looking to go further, or are you just starting out and trying to get started? And is that true, kind of the two different ideal fits for you guys, or kind of like a more base route and then somebody that might have something established and is willing to take it to the next level?
Yeah, let's talk about a brand that is just trying to get in the market. Like, what do you even do if you're coming into cannabis? Like, there's distributors, there's no distributors, there's little distributors, there's self-distribution. There's so many ways to get to market right now that it almost confuses people. And the thing that we learned early on when we talked to hundreds of brands, they don't have a plan. And if you're going to build a brand, the first thing you should probably do is talk to a retailer and make sure that the retailers are on board with your plan, because ultimately they're the gatekeeper to you succeeding or not succeeding. And I can't tell you how many people that come to me, they're like, bro, I grow fire. Like, I'm going to get $30 an eighth. I'm like, okay, you're going to get $30 an eighth. Like fire sells for like $18 an eighth now in California. So I don't know where you're getting that information from. And they're like, oh, my boy told me it's like, $28, $30 an eighth. I mean, yeah, 3 years ago. So we have a program called Pilot, and the Pilot program is aimed at brands. This is like the incubator program, aims at brands or new product launches that are just getting out there and need to get feedback. It's a soft launch before the hard launch. So the goal is in 90 days, you're going to sit down and you're going to meet with 45 buyers, 50 buyers in a 90-day period of time, top 50 retailers, top 50 of the 100 retailers in the state. And you're going to have the ability to not just like, you know how weed is sold in cannabis. It's like 7 emojis, then a THC percentage, and then 4 fire emojis after that. Well, that's nice, and it gets the job done. And right, some of our salespeople do a pretty good job and are the best emoji salespeople on the planet. However, when you're building a brand in day one, you want to tell your story. So we allow our brands to come in, have 20, 30 minutes, sit down with the buyers and tell the story. And then you come out of it and you either go, you know what, I got something here. These buyers want this product and they love this product. Or you come out of it and you go, oh shit, the $30 eighth is no longer. I better change my business plan because I'm going to have to figure this out at $18 an eighth. Either way, you just won in that program because you know what you need to win right from the horse's mouth. So that's the incubator program. We call it Pilot. It's run by Crystal McLean, who has done a great job of building the best team in the industry and then getting buyers on board to see the light. Because not only does it help brands, but it helps buyers to see what's new out there, what's coming, who's winning, who's losing. So it's been a big success for Petalfast launching that. And then the other piece is the accelerator. This is the mothership where we've got a full 18-person sales team out in California alone. We're launching Arizona, we're launching Michigan, we're launching Massachusetts in the next 90 days. I'm sure we can go into expansion soon. But we got a sales team, and then what we have invested in that is differentiated from the rest of our competition is a full service field and trade team. We have 13 of the best territory field managers in the space. I would put our trade and marketing team up against any sales team in the space. That's how good they are. They're building relationships alongside of our 18 salespeople, and then they're managing about 75 brand ambassadors. Okay, so the 13 field managers are managing 75 brand ambassadors, and we are able to do all the demo work. When it's Saturday takeover day, we're able to staff that, and we're able to bring your marketing to life at scale. I was talking to the guys at MedMen the other day, and they're like, Nobody can do an 11 o'clock demo in every single one of our stores on a Tuesday on the same day, right? And we can do that across the entire state and soon across the entire country.
Yeah, yeah. There's a couple things I want to drill down on there, and one of them was this pilot program. In relation to one of the questions I had prepared for you was like, in the state of California, super competitive. It's pretty mature, even though recreational cannabis hasn't been there as long as say Washington or Colorado. I always say that the consumer, the accessibility of cannabis, and the branding of cannabis, it's definitely the most mature in that market, which can be the most challenging for entering the market or an existing brand that wants to launch a new SKU. So outside of like the pilot program, what are some of those things that you feel like, and it might just be what you expressed of like meeting with buyers, but in finding kind of that product market fit, whether it's a new brand or a new SKU for a brand, is it or an existing brand? Do you really put that around kind of meeting with buyers and meeting with the retail? And is that the majority of what you need to know, or what else goes into kind of finding that product market fit?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good question. I was actually talking to a couple investors today here in Chicago about this. I scratch my head sometimes, man. I got people come to me and they're like, dude, I got the greatest product in the world. I'm like, there's 7 people in the whole country that want that product. Like, if we're going to build a product for a market, let's understand how big that market is first. Okay, because we're going to need some revenue to flow through whatever product you're building to have a sustainable business. And in cannabis, like I use beverage as an example. Now, I believe in beverage and I believe in beverage long term, right? But ultimately, it's a pretty small market right now, right? The shelf size, there's about 4 brands on average, probably in the average retail store. How many brands in California are there for those 4 spots? Like legitimately 50 beverages. Okay. So understanding how big is your market, understanding and being humbled. If you haven't been humbled in cannabis about the competition, right? This is hard. This is not the green rush. This is hard. And understanding the competitive landscape and how you're going to differentiate yourself, right? There are so many products that are just copycat products with a different label on it. That's not going to get it done. Unless you tell me you got more money than everybody else, it's just not going to get it done. So we're always looking at market size, and we're looking at, are you truly differentiated from a price point, from a consumer awareness perspective, from a product perspective, right? Is it better? We hear everything is better, right? How many times do you hear you grow the best weed in the state? Like,
yeah, I've been hearing that for decades.
Yeah. So you got to be differentiated, and if you're going to do this thing, you might as well go after something with the real market, right? There's some interesting products out there, and again, there's 7 people that want that product in the whole state. Like, let's think about something that can be a bit bigger.
Yeah, no, that's great game, and I definitely see. I'm not sure why. I see that as a mainstay issue. I'm not sure why cannabis is so unique. Maybe it's not. Maybe all businesses, everyone has, very
Bro,
unique ideas.
We don't need. Oh my God, I just got this was about 8 months ago. Okay. I'm not going to say the name of the product, but I will tell you what the product is. And I'm just sitting there like, what the fucking world am I in right now? Because this dude isn't Jason. I really want you to help me launch this product. Oh, by the way, the guy is not even in this country. And he's like, I want you to help me launch this product. We're going to really execute on this. We see the market is coming towards this product. I'm like, oh, this is exciting. And the dude's like, I got a 10 milligram lipstick. Okay. It's gonna revolutionize cannabis, a 10 milligram lipstick. And I'm sitting there and like, okay, how big is the lipstick market in cannabis right now? I don't see this happening. And then my guy's like, okay, not only, I'm thinking like, hey, maybe it can go by the register if it's like $3 or something, or $5, right? It's a little impulse product. Like, oh shit, there's some lipstick with 10 milligrams. Then my guy comes on and he's like, yo, this is $100 product. Okay. So now I'm just like, okay. Well, have you talked to any buyers yet? And he's like, no. So this is where I'm just like, okay, we got to start thinking and getting really smart before we launch products, because there's just not a market for that. And maybe I'm wrong, but I get to see a lot of products and I get to talk to a lot of buyers. And I got a good feeling that this lipstick is going to struggle to find enough consumers to be able to actually win.
Yeah. I'm not investing in that one personally.
Dude, I'm gonna get Joey some lipstick for,
Yeah, hey, he
you know
could
what I
be,
mean?
he could be the model, man. He could be the one. He might be able to take it where it needs to go. On the conversation of your guys' like field marketing, right? Like in all the challenges of marketing in cannabis, right? The restrictions online and the difficulties that exist. Even obviously, I preach SEO all day, but SEO is still something that you got to build and take over time, right? For those brands that are really trying to attack and get the brand out there, getting in the street, the street team, being in the streets, that's tried and true for, I come from music, right? That's like the backbone of that entire industry is just getting in the streets, touching people, making sure you're in the right places. In cannabis, it seems like, there's really two, right? It's meeting the customer in the dispensary is the main spot, or obviously we have events where cannabis consumers and industry people gather, which could be equally as impactful. But the dispensary is obviously a great place because whatever they see, they can purchase it right there. What does it take, like in field marketing, what does it take to be successful in that? And what are some of the things that you see is like, and I don't want to necessarily have you spill the secrets to everyone, but that you've noticed is just underutilized, not by you guys, but by the market as a whole in field and trade marketing?
Yeah, first off, like I'm totally transparent about things. Like we're not creating like some new invention to do heart surgery or something. I mean, at the end of the day, we're selling weed and we're doing demos, right? But what I'll tell you is we execute better than anybody out there. Like we have the best people and we execute like a motherfucker. Like we crush it in the field. And what it always comes down to is retail relationships. And this is a new industry where we are building relationships all day. Why I love doing demos is actually not necessarily to build that relationship with the consumer all day, because I'm probably going to touch 20 different consumers, right? But what I tell brands is the most important thing. Hang out for 3 hours and do a demo. You are going to befriend every single bud tender in that store, and make sure you leave those samples, because you just taught them how to fish, right? And by the time you leave, if they really like your product and they give it to you, right, and you give them samples and they can smoke it, they are going to be selling your product when you leave. So demos and touching that consumer, yes, I want to learn. I want to see the reaction. I want to see how they feel about the brand. But I also want to be there and understand the bud tender and get them involved. It is so incredibly valuable to have your brand be in a retail store, to hang out with the bud tenders in that store for 3 hours typically. That's a huge thing, and to do it at scale is even harder. So from a field marketing perspective, I don't care if it's your 2 stores you're going after, 5 stores. When you get into your first stores, you really have to give love to the bud tenders. You got to give love to the store itself. And the best way to do that is getting swag into the stores, getting samples into the stores, and have a presence and showing that retailer and bud tender that you care about the product you have in the stores. So we see that, yes, SEO and digital and all those things and driving traffic are important, right? But it's all centered around driving traffic into retailers. And once you drive that traffic into retailer, there are so many brands in the store. Like there's too many brands in the store. And how do you get one to catch that consumer's eye and get that trial, right? It's typically going to be a demo or a bud tender pushing it. And then the other piece is just quality. I mean, doing demos, there's a lot of turnover, right? Treating people right, being a team, leading them to the promised land. And I think one of the things that I'm most proud of at Petalfast is the path that we show people. We have brand ambassador programs. We then have field and trade marketing programs and employees. We then have salespeople. We then have directors, and we want the best people who come in here stand out to climb that ladder. And we want to promote from within. When you get with Petalfast and you're working with Petalfast, I don't care if you're press, I don't care if you're a potential employee or a brand or a retailer, you're going to really be attracted to the culture that we bring. And that starts at the brand ambassador level to the field and trade marketing level. And it carryovers into the retail side of things. So the culture of your company and the type of people that we hire, we take a lot of pride in, and it typically trans over into the happiness that retailer and that brand.
I love that, and putting that emphasis on the relationship with the bud tenders in the store, right? Because a lot of people are going to think of that as I'm going to do a PAD or a vendor day, and I'm trying to touch customers, but that relationship with not just the retailer in general, or the buyer there, but those bud tenders there is imperative. And I like what you said. I mean, turnover is high. So a bud tender at one store today could be a bud tender at another store. So,
or they could be a buyer at another
yeah.
store tomorrow, right? The other thing that I think is really important to talk about is like the consumer itself. Okay, in traditional CPG, the most highly sought after consumer is the premium shopper, right? And my God, how many brands come to we're building the most premium cannabis brand ever. I'm like, that's great, dude. The consumer is not in dispensaries you're selling this to, right? And bud tenders are authentic as shit. They're the most authentic people that I've ever come across from a personal standpoint and from a business standpoint, and especially with their weed, right? They are not going to buy a celebrity brand because there's a celebrity behind it. They're going to buy it because it's fire and it speaks to them. And if you as a brand can't speak to that bud tender, you're going to have a really hard time speaking to the most sought after consumer in cannabis, right? Which is the stoner, for lack of better terms. Like, I'm raise my hand, I'm right there with you, right? And that consumer is the most authentic shopper I have ever seen in any category and in any consumer packaged good segment of the market I've ever seen, period, right? They are so loyal and authentic to this plant, right? And this movement that you really should think twice about going with this highly, premium product, and think about going after the person that's smoking heavily and you can build a real business around.
Absolutely. I mean, that's at the end of the day, and I think a lot of companies miss that, right? Like the Can of Curious gets so much hype online, and it's like marketing to a group that hasn't quite committed to using the products. Kind of seems a little weird to have that much focus. I do understand the future growth, but in that quest, so many people go that way rather than skewing towards the other side of the spectrum of the people that buy an eighth every other day or buy, 500
So one
milligram
time,
gummies every week.
yeah, that's not me. I stumbled upon it was called Major. It's one of our products. We had a big party at my house for our 2-year anniversary, and Major, Major from Washington, right?
Yep.
I had my first 100 milligram beverage. That was interesting, for sure. I don't know how these people do the 100 milligrams, but I got through it. It wasn't pretty, but I got through it, man.
Yeah, and that's the weird nuance thing of, right, like in Washington, the 100 milligram is our top seller. It doesn't matter if it's coming in the shot or the full drink. That's like the most sales volume in Washington. And I know, I'm not quite sure where they're at, but you see like California obviously can with their 2.5, their 5 milligram does well. I know the 100 milligram still does really well, but it's unique seeing these different markets and how the consumers, like the Can of Curious in Washington, like that would be a fucking horrendous demographic to go after because they have no sales volume. And in California, I think there's
there
more
a little
of that.
bit in California. Honestly, they're doing it the best out of all of them, for sure. And they're really everybody's best friends. I mean, everybody should be rooting for Can because they are spending the most money to bring more consumers into the market, right? And you should applaud them. We should all applaud them for doing that because it's a job to educate people and then drive them into a new type of shopping experience, which is the dispensary. I believe firmly that if beverages were allowed in grocery stores, that Can would be a top 5 beverage in the entire country. All drinks, it doesn't matter, because they are some of the best marketers that I have seen. The challenge right now is just the channel. I mean, you're only going to get so many Can of Curious folks, right, to go in there. I mean, my mom is a perfect example. She likes the Can, right? Number one, she's only drinking like one every 6 months. That's a problem for, she's not the most sought after consumer, but she's not going to the dispensary to get it, right? She's calling me or somebody to get it if she ever needs it. So when my mom and other folks like that are comfortable going to the dispensary, that's when you're going to see it really take off. But I'm hopeful that one day we'll see those type of beverages, especially the low dose, probably have a better opportunity sooner to get into mainstream retail.
Absolutely. And that's a great point. I think anytime someone grows or goes that mainstream, people start throwing rocks. It's like the Yankee syndrome. Once you start winning, people root for the underdog. They hate for the people that are on top. But from a distance, I was such a big fan of their rollout. I mean, I just remember, I don't even know how I caught it because I don't watch this regularly, but I saw Ellen talking about it on her show. And like the way she plugged
Yeah,
it
don't
was
don't
like,
lie. You're like afternoon nap and Ellen.
sometime, shout out Ellen, even though she
Yeah.
got those reports for being mean or whatever, there's someone on my bucket list to meet. But anyway, she was like plugging it, but she plugged it in a way where she was like, oh, it's got weed in it. Don't even worry. Like, I don't even do weed, but it's so low. And she just communicated so eloquently and perfect and naturally that, hey, this is safe. This is
We gotta
cool.
get
And I
Ellen
was
on
like,
Respect My Region, man.
oh,
We gotta call. We gotta get. I'm gonna call Luke. If anybody can get Ellen on Respect My Region, it's Luke from Can. He's probably got her in his cell phone.
let me know. I mean, she's got a little bit of image repair she needs to do. Maybe we could help,
Respect
man.
My
Maybe we
Region, here to repair images all over the country. Man.
we can help. On this, obviously we've talked about a couple different things, right? That what you guys are doing and the importance, not just how you guys are helping, but the importance. So whether people work with you or not, a lot of the stuff that you are providing is absolutely necessary for brands to use and establish. What are some of those, like, if someone, and it could be rehashing some of the things we talked about, but someone's, again, launching a brand, launching a new product SKU, what are some of those things in such a saturated market? What are those like key components, almost in order for you, that you feel like they need to get to have a successful launch?
Yeah, number one, most important, bar none, you don't have anything, right? Unless if you don't have differentiation. Okay. If you're not differentiated, you are going to race yourself to the bottom. So one way, shape, or form, you have to be differentiated from your competition. And if I ask, how are you different than these three brands that are in the same category as you? You better quickly be able to answer that question, or you're going to struggle. Like, plain and simple, you will struggle, because buyers do not need another eighth. They do not need another pre-roll. They do not need another beverage, right? They are good. So you better be different and have a differentiated product. I'll tell you what, man. I don't know if you've seen these things, but I just saw they picked up these Lowell 35s. Have you seen this?
Huh.
I'm in Chicago. I was just with George Allen, who's the chairman there, and I picked one up. And I'm not gonna lie, like, these are they kind of look pretty sick. And I was pleasantly surprised. So this is a differentiated product. It's like a skinny cigarette, but feels craft and still on brand for Lowell. So I was interested about this, and I'm happy I ran into him. And I was pleasantly surprised. The smoke was good, the burn was good, and I think it's going to be a differentiated product in the space. We don't represent Lowell, but I think I was interested to see this, and they've been making a lot of hype about it. It's coming, but differentiation, man. We have too many brands, and if you can't spend the time to differentiate the product from one way or another, you're going to struggle. And then number two, I don't know that there really is competition in this space. Like, we can all win. Like, if you got a good product, if you got a good partner, we can all win in this space. Like, there are no necessarily winners yet, right? Like, the game just started. And I think working together, I think partnering with people that will help each other, and I think partnering with folks that have good culture and good positivity and good energy, because this thing is hard enough. And we're really looking for that in brands that are going to be a good partner and work together with folks.
No, I love that, man. You got to stand out, like you said. We don't. The last thing we need is another eighth. It's got to be different. And maybe in the future, I know, like, alcohol, people are very much like, for whatever reason, like brand, like people will drink a certain vodka, a certain tequila, and they won't want to stray from that. Cannabis, I don't know if we'll get to that point, because even the people like me that have been smoking for 10, 20 years at a high level, seeking the best of the best, whether it was unbranded and I was just going to growers, or now with brands, I'm on a never ending quest to find something else that I like. And it's not to desert my go-tos. It's just that I constantly want new flavors. Like, I want to see new things. And I think there's a very unique component of that in cannabis. Maybe edibles and some of those other categories don't have that, as like a flower or rosin or something like that, right? But I feel like there's some unique components to cannabis where we are brand, pledge allegiance to a brand, but that does not mean that we shit on or do not explore other brands.
Yeah, I think the only other thing that is consistent with the brands that have been successful, not only with us, but the ones that I've seen across kind of the industry, is really management teams and leadership. There's been so many horror stories in the space. This is super challenging. Cash flow is more challenging in cannabis than any other industry for a variety of reasons, and we can tell within 2 weeks of like, is your management team like up to snuff to be able to handle the type of ups and downs that you're about to go through, right? And the type of management that has success is inclusive, bringing people together, and really working as partners in a true sense of the word.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you, Jason, for joining us today, blessing us with some game, especially on some stuff that's, I think, unique to, or not unique to just California, but obviously you have great experience in one of the most competitive marketplaces that exists in cannabis. For more people looking for more information, petalfast.com. Is there anything that you want to plug or what you guys got coming up for 22 and beyond before I get you up out of here?
Arizona, Michigan, Massachusetts. We're going to be launching in the next 90 days. Brands, employees, we're out there hiring like crazy, and we're building a portfolio and building our systems in each one of those regions. Where there is pain, Petalfast is coming to help. And typically what I mean by that is when prices drop, when your margins get cut, when you're under pressure to grow your brands, right? That's the type of market that we're looking to come into, and we're here to help. So I'm super pumped to be a part of the team at Petalfast, and I'll tell you what, man, I told some folks today, I've always been unbelievably impressed with you and Joey, and you guys are OGs in every sense of the word. Like Washington OGs, like they're different, right? That's a real OG. And to see what you guys have done and to see how you guys have kept your authenticity with that, and then also been able to professionalize yourselves and build a real business and a real audience and a real following. I'm a super fan, and wish you guys all the best.
Unbelievably humbled by that, Jason. Really appreciate that, man.
You're welcome.
We are here to keep rocking. This is a North American Weed Tour. We're looking at the best in legal cannabis across the map. I got one more podcast episode coming up here at, I think, 3 p.m. to knock out 3 today. I'm three-peating like the Lakers in the early 2000s. So stay tuned for more content. This is Jason Vegotsky of Petalfast. Thank you for joining us, Jason. We'll be back at you guys with more content soon.